and only soccer show dedicated to getting you the best bets for your soccer slate. So, fun episode coming up. This week, we have a preview of Serie A and Bundesliga. So, taking a trip over to Italy and Germany to check out what's going to be going on and what can we win at. So, to start off, I'm going to let you guys know, of course, about promo code ROTZ. With promo code ROTZ, you can get 20% off your BetQL subscription. Check out some of the prices below, starting as low as $8. We got NFL all this week. Tomorrow we got some Browns, Bengals. Check out the BetQL app. We got a 5-star bet coming your way every weekend. It's a great way to make a little extra cash. And I can tell you what, the subscription pays for itself. So, enough about other sports because we're here to talk about soccer. And first off, we're going to head over into Italy, look over at Fiorentina versus Torino, one of the first matches coming up this Saturday that kicks off the season for us. This is a Fiorentina squad that comes into the season after finishing 10th last year. They won points in their final 8 of 9 games. So they really were on a tear to end the season. They have a great squad led up front by Federico Chiesa, Eric Pulgar, and Patrick Cotroni, who's coming back on loan from Wolverhampton Wanderers. That's a fast-pacey group that can get in behind a lot of lines and just cause a lot of damage. And this is a Torino side that I don't think is ready or prepared to do that. Torino has no win on the road in their last 10 games. They really struggle. They lean heavily on Andrea Bellotti, who had 16 goals last season. And in this game coming up on Saturday, I don't think it's going to be enough for them. I think Fiorentina edges it out and pulls out the win. This is a line that keeps creeping up. I checked it this morning. It was at minus 105. Now we see it already up to minus 115. So, hop on it as soon as you can. This reminds me a lot of the Chelsea game I told you guys about last week. And, the line's only going to go up. Get it while you still can. So, with that being said, we're going to take a trip over to Verona, the home of Romeo and Juliet. But I don't think anything romantic is going to be going on in this game. We got Hellas Verona versus Roma. Heading into this game, man, Hellas Verona surprised a lot of people last season. They gotten promoted to Serie A, and they finished 9th. They started the season off just really battling it out with a lot of teams. And as the season wore on, we saw why they were projected to be going right back down to Serie B. They finished the season 1-4-4. And the biggest thing for them was they leaned heavily on their defense. They had a top 6 defense last year in Serie A, but they had the 3rd worst offense in the entire league. And it started to show as their defense wasn't able to always keep clean sheets or limit the damage from some of these superior squads. So I got to give the edge to Roma. Roma has a lot of injuries coming into this game, but I still think they should have the edge. We should see Pedro make his debut after he signed with on a free from Chelsea last year. He should start on the right, and I think he's going to give a lot of trouble to this Hellas Verona squad in their back four. That's going to have a lot of holes in it, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. So those are the 2 games I got marked for you guys in Italy. We're going to fly over to Germany now because we got a Borussia derby going on. And we got Borussia Dortmund and Borussia Mönchengladbach. What a way to start the season. You got 2 teams that hate each other. You got 2 rivals. What more could you ask for? I'm going to ride with Gladbach +1. So BVB, which is Dortmund, has had Gladbach's number over the past several seasons. They're 11 games undefeated versus Gladbach. This is a Gladbach team that's really on the rise. They finished 4th last year after spending some time atop of the table. And near the end of the season, there were some problems, mainly with their squad depth. They weren't able to be as fresh as possible, and it caused them to drop a lot of games. And now, when I said, what more could you ask for? You could ask for a lot of star power. and that's exactly what this game is going to bring you with their front threes. You got Dortmund that has Erling Haaland, Gio Reyna, and Jadon Sancho as their probable front three that's going to be starting, going up against Brie Mbolo, Andrea Plia, and Marcus Thurman, who, as talented as you can get for. Gladbach probably has one of the more underrated front threes in the world, and I think they're going to cause some problems for Dortmund. While Gladbach has conceded the first goal in their last 7 away games, they still managed to claw back some draws out of there. I wouldn't be surprised with a tie here, but I'm going to go with Gladbach +1. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised for a tie, but I think this is Gladbach's year to really take that next step, and we can see if they can do that against a Dortmund squad that's going to be missing some pieces at the back from last season. So going from Dortmund to Bayern Munich. So this line is already crazy large at this point. I included this in as more of a parlay piece at -278, Bayern -1.5. So you already know Bayern Munich, they're the defending Bundesliga champions, defending Champions League champions. They're going to be at home for this one against a Schalke side that is just really, really bad. They lost their last 3, including no wins in their last 16 league games. There's a lot I could say about Schalke right now, but I'm going to save that because I got a little bit more to say about them later on. Bayern, we're probably going to see Leroy Sané debut on the left for them, and I want to say their last four against Schalke have been wins by at least 2. So I see that continuing on here because I think that Schalke could be in for maybe their worst season in quite some time. So at -278, if you want a little parlay piece, throw that in. Bring your odds down a little bit. So and also it's going to be one of the more entertaining games of the week, as I think Bayern's going to score a ton of goals. So check that one out. And now, we talk a lot of soccer on the show. We talk a lot of football on the show. So because I know some of you can't wait to make a bet, I'm going to sprinkle a little American football, and you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking MLS. So tonight at 9:30, we got Montreal Impact versus Vancouver Whitecaps. It's a Canadian rivalry that stretches all of 6 seasons. Right now, the Impact, who are coached by Thierry Henry, you may have heard of him before. They're currently 5th in the East. And in the last month, these teams have squared off 3 times now, with Montreal beating them twice, each time by at least 2 goals. Overall, in their last 9, the Impact are 4-0-5, which, when you hear it, really doesn't sound that great, but 3 of those losses are to the East-leading Toronto FC. So, and they've been close games, all by 1 goal. Looking over at Vancouver, this is a team that sucks. This is a team that's really bad. They're currently sitting last in the West right now. They have 1 win in their last 6 games, which was a win over this Impact team. But I don't think they get 2 wins in 7. Impact take this one. They're going to be fired up. They can clinch a win. They can clinch a berth into the Canadian Cup versus Toronto FC with a win here. So they should come out guns blazing looking for the dub. So plus 104, you got to love that. And I'm telling you to log it in. So that takes care of the games we got going on. I'm going to show you guys a few props. And by a few, I mean quite a lot. So buckle up. Here we go. First up is Serie A top 4. These are my best bets for top 4. Currently, Juventus and Inter Milan have insane odds to finish in the top 4. They're currently leading in that respect. But AC Milan at -118, I couldn't love a line any more than what I love there. This is an AC Milan team that was as good as any team in Italy at the end of last season, post-restart. They had 9 wins in their last 13 games, draws in the other 4 games. So they didn't drop a single game, including one of those draws being against Juventus in the Coppa Italia semifinal. We really saw AC Milan take off and hit a next gear in the second half of the season, and that coincides right with Ante Rebic and Zlatan Ibrahimovic and their goal-scoring exploits for the team. Over the season, in the second half of the season, those two combined to score 22 goals for the team, and really was a massive reason in catalyzing this team to the next level. And they're not trying to stop the momentum anytime soon, as they have some great signings. And as much as I love the line, I love their signings even more. They signed Sandro Tonali, who's been hailed as the next Pirlo by the Italian media for years now. And to go with him, they signed Brahim Diaz, a talented winger from Real Madrid who just wasn't getting the playing time he needed to develop. This is somebody who could slot in right on the right immediately and can start developing, hopefully a winning culture for one of European sleeping giants. So those two young guys they signed. They also signed Simon Kjaer to plot in the back, a nice veteran center back to man their back four, minus 118. I love AC Milan finishing maybe even third this season. Next up is Atalanta at minus 143. Another great line. This is an Atalanta team that was maybe the most fun to watch in all of Europe last season. They were the first team in Italian history to score over 100 goals. They also claimed points in 16 of their last 17 games, going 12-4-1 over that time span. And what's interesting about those last 17 games is that was mostly without Josip Ilic, who for the first half of the season, who was leading the charge for Atalanta. He had 15 goals and 5 assists in 26 games, 25 of those being before the coronavirus shutdown. And then when we restarted back up, unfortunately, he was dealing with depression stemming from the coronavirus lockdown and being away from his family. So they were without him, and they were able to rally and seem to get even better. So it'd be interesting with him coming back into the fold this season. And as Atalanta continues this rise up the, Italian table, really, they need to operate in the transfer market, and we're seeing them do that. And they made some pretty shrewd moves that I think are going to be incredibly advantageous for them as the season wears on. They sold Timothy Castagna to Leicester, who was their starting right back. They head over to Valencia, get Christian Piccinini, and they also signed Aleksei Miranchuk, who is a very talented Russian attacking midfielder that they can plug into their midfield. So like I said, shrewd moves for a team that's on the rise, exactly what you're looking for at this stage from them. And somebody who's already been on the team and should continue to improve for them is their goalkeeper, Pierluigi Golini, only 25 years old, which is baby years for a goalkeeper. Had his first full season of action last year and looked very ready to be there. Let's see if he takes a step forward in his second season. I think that he's someone to keep an eye on. So next up, we got my relegated best bet. Only got one for you guys here, and it's Hellas Verona plus 500. So if you want to check out the relegation odds, you'll see that Crotone and the other, those will just see some crazy, outlandish odds that you don't really want to touch right now. The best bet for you is plus 500, Hellas Verona to go back down. So talked about them a little bit earlier. We have them losing to Roma this weekend, and I think that's only going to start a chain reaction that sends them back to Serie B. They've really outperformed themselves the first half of last season, and the second half of last season, we saw really who Hellas Verona was. They had the least amount of goals of any team that wasn't relegated. They had 51 goals against, which was a top 10 defense, but they still managed that -4 goal differential by only scoring 47 goals on the season. And if you compare their second half of the season to someone like Udinese, who has the third best odds to get relegated this season at plus 200, they pretty much were the exact same team. So at plus 500, this is also a Hellas Verona team that lost two key players, and Marash Kumbala, who was one of their starting center backs at 25 appearances last season, and Sofian, who had 34 appearances for them last season. Two key figures out for them. They were struggling at the end of last year. I'm expecting that form to continue on into this season. So plus 500, we got to say bye-bye to Hellas Verona. So enough talking about bad teams. We can talk about a few good teams now. And those two good teams are one we've already talked about quite a bit, in Atalanta and Juventus for Serie A champions. So right now, Inter Milan is the second best chance at plus 170 behind Juventus's minus 118. Juventus is the clear odds-on favorite. They've won Serie A now 7 years in a row, looking to make it eighth. They're eighth now. And they come into the season with a new manager, less enigmatic than Maurizio Sarri. You got Andrea Pirlo coming in, someone that knows what Juventus wants. He has the experience of the star-studded locker rooms. So I think he should do a better job with the squad than Sarri did last season. And I think he'll be able to get a lot more out of his midfields. No surprise there. But Juventus' real struggle last year was in their midfield. Aaron Ramsey struggled in his first season there, as did Adrian Rabiot. And Mirjam Panjic left this season. He's over at Barcelona now, was swapped out for Arthur. They signed Weston McKennie to come on over. Now they have their second season for Aaron Ramsey and Rabiot. So hopefully Pirlo can get a lot more out of them. If they do, I mean, they have a front three of Ronaldo, Dybala, and it's going to be either Edin Dzeko or Luis Suarez, or probably both. And I think that fits what Juventus is going to want more this season, especially if you're going to play Cristiano Ronaldo up front as a striker. You know, he starts off on the left-hand side, drifts in, and all of a sudden he's playing up front. Suarez or Dzeko could be perfect for a link-up play for him there. Atalanta, I'm not going to talk about them too much because I've already said quite a bit about them. Even though they scored a ton of goals, there were times at the end of the season where you wondered, how are they going to pull this win out? Do they have the grit and the resilience to pull it out? And they did. And so this is a squad that returns most of the same pieces as last year. And I think it has a team. I don't think any team operates more cohesively in Serie A right now than Atalanta does. If they had the belief that they had at the end of last season to start off last year, they may have honestly won the title because there wasn't a team playing with more confidence than Atalanta at the end of the year. So Atalanta at plus 1,100. Hey, worst case, you throw $50 on it, and all of a sudden you're looking at a hell of a payout. So I'm taking them as just kind of a flyer, see what happens there. Real quick, we'll look at our top goal scorer for Serie A, and who else but Cristiano Ronaldo. He's going to be 36 this year, or this upcoming year, and he's still one of the world's best. You can't deny it. He had 33 goals or 31 goals last year in 33 games. The last time we saw him last week, he scored 2 goals out against Sweden. He shows no sign of stopping anytime soon. With having someone like Edin Dzeko or Luis Suarez, like I mentioned before, I think that can only increase his goal-scoring opportunities. And this is a Juventus team that's always going to draw penalties at a high rate just because of how they attack the box. And Ronaldo is going to be the guy stepping up to take the PKs for them. So I think he edges out guys like Romelu Lukaku this season. When there's anything involving Ronaldo and a top goal scorer bet, and I can get a plus, I love it. He's 36, you're going to be 36, doesn't matter. He's not stopping. Plus 175, Cristiano Ronaldo, lock it up. So top goal scorer and bets aren't the only thing you can do. You can bet some over-unders. And that's exactly what we're going to check out as we got 2 goals over-under bets for you guys right here. Dejan Kulusevski. I know his name. I love him. I love playing with him in FIFA, but sometimes these names get hard to pronounce. And Victor Osimhen. For Dejan, we got over 5.5 minus 118. I couldn't love that anyone anymore. Last year, he was on loan at Parma. He scored 10 goals, had 8 assists for the squad. And he's coming into a Juventus squad where he should slide in right behind Paulo Dybala. He should be that second option, whether on the wing or if they want to move him into midfield for reasons that their midfield was trash last year. But Bernardeschi came in, played quite 29 games for them in the role that I'm assuming, or the kind of role that I'm assuming that Dejan's going to have. The guy only scored 1 goal in 29 appearances. Dejan reminds me a lot of probably like someone like Arjen Robben in the way that he attacks. He should be able to score 6 goals. He should be able to get and score multiple starts for this Juve team coming up. Looking over at Victor Osimhen, this is an incredibly talented young kid. He's 21 years old. I think he really does have a bright future, but I don't know if he's going to score over 15 goals this season in his first season in Serie A. Last year was his first season in a major league. He played for Lille over in Ligue 1. He had 13 goals in 26 or 27 games for them last year. Very good. He had a solid season for sure, but I don't know if he's going to be able to outdo that in his first season in a new league, especially when he has guys like Lorenzo Insigne, Milik, Dries Mertens, Irving Lozano, all competing for forward spots. So he might struggle for game time to start off the season, which could definitely impede his ability to reach 15 goals. Minus 118, it's a pick 'em. So I'm going to take the under there. So enough about Serie A. Let's talk about our German brethren over in Germany. Bundesliga top 4 best bets. We got Borussia Mönchengladbach coming in at plus 150, and then RB Leipzig coming in at minus 167. So Red Bull's done it. They've really built Leipzig into one of the German. Right now, they're an emerging powerhouse over in Germany. Fans hate that over there, but the footballing community, at least in America, it's fun to watch. I'll take it. This is a Leipzig team that they lost Timo Werner. We've talked about him multiple times about him on the show. It doesn't matter, though. They have options to plug in up top that are going to be incredibly effective for them, especially when they have guys like Nyunku and Marcel Sabitzer in midfield, and their defense still featuring tons of wonder kids and former wonder kids. You've got Lucas Klosterman, one of the best attacking fullbacks, can also slot in as a center back. You got Diet Upamecano, who I'm sure after this season is going to be at somewhere like Real Madrid or Barcelona or Chelsea, Man U, who knows. So I see them finishing third probably, finishing right behind Bayern and Dortmund, and then Gladbach fourth. So if you'll notice, this would essentially be the exact same top 4 as last year. And when I say essentially, I mean it will be exactly the same top 4 as last year. It doesn't happen often, but I think it has a good chance of happening this year. Like I said, they finished 4th last year. They returned the same core, an incredibly underrated front 3 in Briambola, Marcus Thuram, and Andre Plea. These guys last year combined for 28 goals and also 23 assists. So everything works with them. Interesting signing. They signed Hans Wolf over from Dortmund. Interesting attacking midfielder. He can also play on the wing. He had 16 goals in Austria just a few seasons ago fractured his leg last season, missed the whole season. And as you can probably guess, you fracture a leg, you don't play, your value drops. That's what happened here. Gladbach were happy to pick up the pieces. He should have a chance, I hope, and I think he could end up being a possible breakout star in Bundesliga this year. So next up is one of my all-time favorite relegated bets lines I've ever seen, and that's Schalke plus 1,100 to get relegated. Talked about them before. I'm going to talk about them again. We're talking about how bad they were specifically. They lost their last 3, no wins in their last 16. They scored the 3rd fewest goals in the entire Bundesliga last year. And what did they do to fill up those holes and fix this offensive conundrum? Nothing. They did nothing. On top of that, Weston McKennie, gone. Was a stalwart in their midfield. Now he's at Juventus. Alexander Nubel, possibly a German goalkeeper of the national team, starting for them. He's gone. Signed on a free for Bayern Munich. This is a team that's going to struggle this year. They struggled last year and is going to continue, if not get worse. At plus 1,100, the Schalke name carries some weight, but I don't think plus 1,100 weight to get relegated this year. I think it happens. I'm sorry to you Schalke fans out there, but you may be taking trips, over to see Bayern too sometime soon. Next up, we got Bundesliga goals over under. So I'm not going to do the Bundesliga champion because it's going to be Bayern. They're minus 670. They return the same core that just absolutely crushed everyone they faced last year. They're going to win. So with that, let's check out these goals over under. You got Huang Li Chan and Andre Kramaric, both taking the over for them. For Huang Li Chan, he's going to be the starter for RB Leipzig. He's going to take over that Timo Werner role, the role that Timo was able to bag 28 goals in last year. Huang Li Chan is someone that I've liked quite a bit in his debut for RB Leipzig last week in the DFB Pokal. Scored a goal, also managed an assist. He had last season, 16 goals in the Austrian Bundesliga. He's a goal-scoring machine. He scored on the international level for South Korea. I expect him to be able to score at least 12 goals. He should start or at least play in 30 games for RB Leipzig. He'll have the chance. And then you're looking over at Andre. Andre, a man from Hoffenheim. Last time we saw him out in a competitive match, scored 4 goals against Dortmund in the season finale. He's reached 15 goals in 2 of his last 3 seasons. He only had 12 last season, mostly because of a knee injury, which caused him to miss a majority of the season. When he's healthy, he's one of the best attackers in the Bundesliga. Had typically played in an attacking midfielder role. We might see him play as a second striker now, which will only aid his case. So that's our picks for this weekend, guys. Hopefully I'm back on Monday at 8 o'clock. We'll talk a little bit more about some good games. And as always, this weekend, you got to use promo code Rotz. You're going to want to bet on football. You're going to want to bet on football from over the pond. You're going to want to bet on the NBA. You're going to want to bet on a lot of things. BetQL can tell you who to pick. Sometimes you don't know who you want to pick. BetQL will tell you how to win, where to win, who to win, how to win. So check it out. Prices as low as $8. You get 20% off with promo code ROTS. With that, I'm out, guys. I'll see you Monday, hopefully. Take it easy.